Thank you for being here. You're here on a special day, I'll tell you that.
Why is it not working, Jonesy?
They don't want to be locked into a house or an apartment.
Got to follow the social distancing rule.
And some nuff dicks were getting tested, then going in and doing a shop.
COVID. I had it.
Detective George Bennett.
Yeah, he's a bellend. Absolutely.
George, don't say hello to you. Like,
I don't know. I'm actually genuinely embarrassed.
I broke my back.
A vertebrae or a portion?
Spinal.
Mate, Jonesy, just do that thing where you just put Bill's talking and let me see I can hear him first.
Hey boys, welcome back to another ep.
What's happening?
How are we?
Just on our intro, people that just listen to that, I lost a bet the other day because Caitlin was saying, yeah, that's Billy Joel. We didn't start the fire. So no, it's not.
Yeah, it is.
It is, isn't it?
Yeah,
It's the instrumental. It's just the guitar and the drums.
It's just such a tinny. I mean, it's a terrible start to the song. I mean, it gets better, obviously, but it's just a bad way to start.
Alabama Blues, fucking.
Well, we were talking about this the other day, Bills. We should write a jingle. George, you can play the axe. Why don't you write a social distance podcast song?
Yeah, we'll redo the intro.
Actually, it was probably about, when was it, do you reckon, me and you were doing the duets down in Barcelona?
Yeah, 5 years ago. You write the lyrics, do the chords, send it to Nathan Haas. We got ourselves a tune, boys.
Yeah. We should write our own jingle for the show. Welcome to the Social Distance Podcast, where we talk so much shit, we don't do any research, and we don't know anything.
All right.
Yeah. So what's been going on? You had a few dramas yesterday, Bills.
Oh, I had a prick of a day, mate. Prick of a day.
Yeah.
I did say we weren't going to use the C word on the show, and I won't, but it was one of those days. I had to get to Andorra yesterday. Did a good training ride in the morning. Went to get in my car at about 4 o'clock in the Arvo, be up here by dinner. Window's been smashed, car's been broken into. They stole everything I had in there. A set of sunglasses and an iPhone cable. So they're gone, long gone. Spent 2 hours at the cop shop.
What sort of glasses were they? What sort of glasses? Bollets, Ray-Bans?
Scots, mate. They were Scots.
I just saw a guy walking down the street with some Scots on.
Did he have an iPhone cable hanging out his back pocket?
Yeah, that's what he was. He was swinging an iPhone cable and he had cut on his hand.
Oh.
I wonder if I should have.
So anyway, the car was broken. I couldn't drive up here with a smashed window. Had to go to the cop shop, report it, do all the insurance crap. George was there, giving me a hand, which was nice. Very nice. I really did appreciate it. Then he let me borrow his car. I drove his car up here last night. Got stuck in bloody roadworks for 45 minutes. Nearly had to take a 2-hour detour. Got to Andorra.
Am I any surprises in terms of letters in the mail after you drive my car?
No, mate. I sorted you out today. I went because I'm moving into George's apartment because he's moved out. So that's all done, mate. I went to the commune today for you. I deregistered your address and re-registered you in your new place. Registered myself in your place. Deregistered myself in my old place.
Jesus.
Ticked all those boxes. That's why I had to be up here today because I had to be at a 9:30 appointment to do all that crap. So I was sort of fretting a bit yesterday afternoon when I had a broken car window and no iPhone cable.
Remember when I had those dramas at the airport because of Novi and he had me scooter?
Yeah.
So I sold me scooter to Archibald, right? And I'm flying in for my last ever race, the Vuelta. I get to the passport checkpoint and she scans it. I've never had any dramas. And she scans it, goes, doot, doot. Thinking, are they good doot doots?
Yeah.
Like,
you always talk about the inflection, though. You know, if it's like,
She's like,
yeah, and I'm thinking, is that for like long travel service? Like, oh, so you've got an upgrade to, I don't know, he's a Macca's voucher. But she looked at me and she goes, ooh. And I was like, what? And, you know, I'd sort of been been a bit rogue for a few years there. I wasn't like an official resident or anything. I used to do a lot of trips to Australia. Anyway, and she goes, oh, sir, you were required to be in court. I said, what? She goes, yeah, you were meant to be in court and you didn't turn up. So you might want to get that sorted. And then she goes, if you don't get it sorted, she did this. She goes, I go, what is that? And she goes, she goes, jail, like cuffed. So I remember going through customs, getting my bags, and I just remember feeling sick, thinking, what the hell is going on? And she said, you got to talk to the local judge in Toronto. Long story short is Novi was meant to register, like when I sold him the scooter, I gave him the paperwork. And I said, sign it over into your name. He goes, yeah, no worries, mate. He never did. So then it was parked out the front and someone's come around drunk, hit the scooters. They've all cleaned it, like 8 scooters in a row. Mine was the last one, or Novi's. And then they've tried to issue compensation. So they wanted me to go to court to say, hey, this guy crashed your scooter, give him some money. But for about 3 weeks there, I'm thinking, and I'm saying...
They're trying to give you money.
They're trying to give me money.
Oh, mate.
You're the first guy in history to end up in jail for
imagine being in jail and they go, no, someone crashed into my scooter. They want to give me money, but I wasn't there to receive it, so they locked me up.
I feel like the Spanish love an overreaction to like admin things, or to especially to like cars and stuff. So I had, was it last year? I remember this. I got a ring on the door, and so I was like, he's like, George Bennett, yeah, thinking it was a package. And he comes up and says, are you George Bennett? And I was like, yeah. And he goes, and he didn't have a package in his hand. And I was like, oh, this is weird. What do you want? He's like, show me, no, nothing. Just show me your ID. I was like, why? What do you want? He said, no, I just need to see your ID. This is a random guy, no, nothing. And I was like, all right. So I was like, I'm going to show him my ID because I got no idea. As soon as he saw my ID, takes a photo of my ID. And I was like, okay, this is weird. Give me my ID back. Pulls his bag out, undoes this like magnetically scan, with the strip thing. And
he's got Scott glasses and an iPhone cable.
Oh, what's going on here? And he summons me with this subpoena thing. I was like, this is this real phishing thing, and you have to, when you open it, it set off a signal that it had been opened, so you have now received this.
Yeah, right.
And I was like, geez, what's this? And I open it up, and it's this fine, this huge fine for 10,000 euros or something. And I was like, oh, what is this? And there was just nothing on it. It just said, you owe this much money, this. And it was from the Tributaria, which is actually like a tax agency. And I was like, what the hell is this? I'm not, And we looked into it for a long time, and we took it to all these offices and stuff. And they're like, yeah, but it doesn't say what it's for. And it turns out that in my old car 4 years ago, I got a speeding ticket on the day I had a day I drove out of an operation. So I just had surgery, and I think I wanted to get home, and we were just flooring it through Barcelona and had the speeding ticket. But because I then changed my address, they've been sending this bill. So it was $160 fine that had acquired a new interest, but plus a penalty of 1,000 euros and things every year that you didn't pay it. And it's just from a speeding ticket. And then they go to this, they made me feel like I was going to jail. I thought, this is it, I'm done.
I got subpoenaed in Spain once. Had to go to the
Did you?
Full shindig, mate. Full subpoena. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, well, just about the Lance.
Yeah, it's because I was on Radio Shack 2010. This was like 5 years later. I was on Green Edge, and I was in America doing some racing, and I got a call from the real estate agent saying the police have been around to your apartment trying to find you, and I was like, wow. And then I don't know what that's for. Anyway, really forgot about it. And then went and did the Vuelta, came back from the Vuelta, got bloody like real crook after the Vuelta. I was man down for like a week. Spent all week in bed, barely showered, barely eaten. Just finally I was like, I'm starting to feel a bit better. I'll try go for a ride. Walked outside. It was a Friday morning. Walked outside, and I was like, I'm sure I had a scooter. Used to have a scooter parked there, and I was like, oh well, that's been stolen. What do I expect? Story of my life this week. Anyway, so I just didn't even react. I was just like, oh, my scooter's been stolen. I'm just going to carry on with my life and never ever report that and just move on. So I didn't. And then I came back from training. And I got a phone call from these cops, and they're like, Sam Bueller, yep, we're at your apartment. I was like, well, you're not, because I'm at my apartment and you're not here. So they'd been going to my old apartment. Anyway, I said, oh, well, I don't live there anymore. I live here, rah, rah, rah. They said, okay, you need to be at the Guardia Civil, which in Spain is like the big dog police. It's like the Madrid police, the nationwide police. You need to be at the Guardia Civil office in 45 minutes. And I was, what for? And they're like, we can't tell you. You have to be there. You've been subpoenaed. And I was thinking this whole time as well, I was a bit like you, Jonesy. I was running a bit under the radar with residency sort of stuff at that point. And I was like, fucking hell, I'm going to get booted out of the country. Yeah. And then my second thought was, how am I going to get there? My scooter's been stolen, so I'm going to have to walk. And then I turned up, and then, it was because they at this point, Spain was doing an investigation, a medical investigation into the practices of the Spanish doctors that were banned from all that era. And because I was on Radio Shack, those doctors were like, they were on that team at that point, and they just wanted to interview me to see if like what I knew. And I was like, fuck, mate, they're like, oh, well, how much money do you get paid? I said to them, minimum wage. And they're like, oh, well, that's interesting. And then they're like, what have you ever been to altitude training camps? I was like, never been to altitude in my life. Do you use altitude tent? Don't even know what that is. Like, oh, how many races have you done this race before? That race? Fuck no. I'm doing C-grade races.
Mate, I had a Sylvester on my cornflakes.
Yeah. And then the guy,
I don't take this shit serious.
And then the guy's like, okay, so thanks, mate. We just needed to interview you. We're just interviewing everyone in the team. You'll get a call from the judge in Madrid when the court case happens, if they feel that your information's of any value. But we can guarantee you right now that you won't hear from us again. You're fine, mate.
I remember the funniest was when I said to Archibald, I confronted him because I was adamant, like Archibald has run through a red light or he's driven like recklessly, he's cut off a copper or something. I remember going straight up to him, I go, Shane, what have you done? And I remember his face like it was about a 15-second pause, and his brain's just going through all the things that he's done on the scooter, going like, mate, if you go to jail or if it gets real bad, like I'll have to step in. It's like, yeah, well, no shit. No shit, I'm not taking the heat for you, mate. Like, imagine him in a suit with his mullet in court, like, watching me go down because he's taking out someone on the freeway. Like, no chance.
It
was so relieved.
In the Tucson camp, or maybe this was another Kiwi that was riding with when they got chased with it might have been another teammate of mine who was in Radio Shack at the time I think it was with Popovich or something at the time. And they were in the Tucson camp, and it's when they'd first arrived into America, and there was a training camp, Radio Shack training camp. And the same thing happened, but instead of coming to the door, there was a full police chase through Tucson or through Austin or something.
No, I wasn't there.
No, it wasn't you. Okay.
No.
There you go.
If we should probably wrap up the worlds a little bit. So we've got we did promise Walt Van Aert to come on.
Yeah.
He's going to come on for a chat about the worlds, is he, George?
Yeah.
I'll just check my messages here. Look, we don't have Walt. Actually, we don't have Walt Van Aert today. I didn't send a message. So
mate, and you don't reply to messages. You don't reply to messages. You're your classic two blue tick Bennett. Like, you'll read it and then your brain will just go, I'll reply to that in 4 weeks.
Yeah, well, what happens? It's a relevance thing. So I get it, and so one of two things happens. Either I get it and you've sent it in the morning, and I wake up and look at my phone and go, can't even see my phone. I'm looking cross-eyed in the morning. Get up, go riding, come home, and go, that's not relevant anymore. Or it is something that I talk about, and because of see Sam every day, we talk about it, and then I sort of get to the point where I go, I assume that we've talked about it, but I've actually only talked to him about it and haven't, cross-checked. I'm just not good in a group environment. I'm notoriously bad in WhatsApp groups. I reckon.
Yeah. You're just bad with people in general. You're bad with the whole communication thing with people in general. I'm sort of detecting a trend here.
I am. I'm a shocker, and
so to wrap it up, the basic point of this whole chat right now is you didn't ask Walt to come on, or Walt, or however you say his name, to come. So he is not coming on the show.
No, but I've sent out some fishing lines to a real big fish who, if we can land it, he's currently occupied for the minute, but if he gets, he might not get back to us. He's busy in Italy, but this is a big fish, so it'll all be forgiven.
So he can, whoever this big fish is, they're in Italy for the Giro, so they can give us a bit of a preview.
Yeah, give us a preview. But I can give you a bit of a rundown on the Worlds if you like.
Was it as bad as my day yesterday? It looked like it.
In a nutshell, far worse. Do you know what sucks about the Worlds when you don't do well? Which is generally the way for me. I've never done a good Worlds. I mean, when we rode together, I was 17th, I think. Or was I
in Innsbruck?
Yeah. And I've always had a shocker, and it's always because you come off a Grand Tour. And people talk about this like post Grand Tour thing, like you get these amazing legs. I'm just tired. I'm just so tired. And the problem is like you do it for your team and you have a bad race, it can happen. But when you do it in the Silver Fern, you're like, right, one race a year, pulling a national jersey. All these guys are mucking in, it's like family atmosphere. You got Craig Eder, New Zealand's equivalent of Carl Pilkington, but he's in there. He's organising everything. He's and everyone's like extracurricular. These guys get their paid from their trade teams, but then they do it in New Zealand team. I mean, I'm sure there's a bit of money involved, but they were basically doing it for the love of it. And everyone's there to help support you. And I just got to the start line. I was like, oh my God, I'm so pinned already. So didn't come out of the tour well. And I started the Worlds and I was the leader. And we had, young Finn, Paddy, who'd been there for the TT, and Dion. And straight away I said to Dion, I said, mate, you've got to look after yourself because I'm not backing myself here. But then Worlds, Sam, is that it's not necessarily like a hard right. It's not like some stages where you just start full gas and you hang on and then sort of everyone's just ruined at the end and they kind of survive.
You had the chance to ride into it, don't you?
Yeah, exactly. So after about 4 laps, I thought, maybe it wasn't actually a hard race. It wasn't like I've done Worlds where it is quite hard, but this one, even on such a filthy lap, I mean, it was a super technical lap, up, down, all the stuff. I was expecting it to be far harder, just the general getting to the final. But it was actually pretty easy and pretty controlled. And then with 2 laps to go, I knew I was like, I'm not great, but I'm going to be in the race in some sort of capacity. So I started moving up to the front. So I was like, I knew I had to go before the good guys go, and with the idea that hopefully they'd ride across to me, and then I'd be there in the final and we could do a race. And I started moving up, and I was doing all right. Dion was there helping. Lap and 3/4 to go, and then all of a sudden, one moment, I stopped pedaling circles and just started noticing. I was had a bit of I started humping the bike a bit, started doing a bit of squares, and then about a K later, I was just completely empty. And about 10K later, I didn't know how I was going to finish the lap. I was like, I'm going to have to walk up this last hill. I was just completely done. And then
that's the thing with the Worlds, all those, even the classics run a similar format sometimes. Sometimes you can have a little bit of a harder start at the classics, but then you have this period in the middle of 150K or whatever before the final starts, where it's not super hard, and you don't feel at the time that it's super hard, but it's hard enough. And because the race is 6.5, 7 hours, all of a sudden, and on a course especially on the course like in Imola last weekend, where the climbs are so steep and so hard, you think it hasn't been too bad. But the moment you get 5 hours or 5.5 hours deep and you have to step on it, you're like, actually, nah,
it's been real hard.
It hasn't been that easy. I'm actually pretty fucked right now.
But it's just shit, you swing past a lap, and I was at the point where I was like, right, I could do another lap and maybe finish, but I probably even couldn't have. I was just empty. And then you swing off into the pits, and the New Zealand teams, you swing into your pit and you just go, oh shit, these boys were working for me. And also, no one from us got up in the end, and you just have this you just want to hide, you want to crawl into
but we mentioned this last episode. It's 2020. Just go fuck it, COVID.
Yeah, COVID.
I'm blaming the lockdown. It's a weird world. It's COVID. Don't worry about it.
And mate, it was a bloody good Worlds to watch, and deserved winner, I reckon.
Oh, did you notice, Bills? Because I was on the phone to you with the headphones, and the last 30 Ks, it's midnight or 12:30 here. I'm pinned, right? So I'm on the couch and I'm nodding off, and I literally a couple of points I fell asleep, and then Bills will go, I don't think they're going to get him, mate. And like I had the AirPods on, so then I'd wake up and I just have to say something so I didn't want Bill to know I was asleep. So I go, yeah, nah, they probably won't get him, mate. And then my eyes would go again. And then I'd wake up with 5 more K to go. Bill would just go, geez, he's going. Oh, first day, he's going. I'd wake up. It was the weirdest shit. This went on for 15K. I reckon I was stayed away for 30 seconds for the last 15K.
We were on the phone. I had a look at my call log after that. It was like 2 hours and 25 minutes or something. Because I was just lying on the couch with my phone here on speaker. He had his headphones on, just watching the race. And we're chatting away about all sorts of things for a good part of an hour and a half. And then James is like, fuck, I'm going to have to have a coffee. I reckon get through this 30K. And then... But then, like, because the conversation had been going on for so long, and at this point, we were just both dedicated to watching the race.
And we'd committed for so long, yeah.
But, like, there was, like, there was, like, long moments of silence, like 3 or 4 minutes, where we'd just be, like, both watching the race, and they'll be like, oh, he's a quick descender, the elephant, eh? And then Johnny, yeah.
That was the weirdest shit. But, like, fair bloody play. Like, Jesus, to win that. On the back, like he's had a bloody tough tour as well. It's just he doesn't whinge, he just wins.
But mate, like it is the difference coming out of the Grande. Although, in fairness, everybody in that front group all rode the tour. But like when he attacked on that climb, second to last climb or the last climb, whatever it was, you could just see that everybody was on the absolute, like they were pinned. And there was like, and Alaphilippe was getting the old like, he's pinned as well. And I was like, fuck, these 4 or 5 guys are just going to go over the top together because there's no way anybody can move here. And then he literally jumped.
Put it on the big dog.
He jumped out of that group. Like they were standing still. And you just saw the 4 or 5 other guys all just went, well, oh, well. He's gone.
Do you know what cracked me a little bit was that like the Belgians, because I flew home the next morning, woke up at 4 a.m., get on this plane. And for some reason, there was a bunch of Belgian guys. They're staying at our hotel. They'd already bailed me up that night before. And also on the plane the next day, Belgian fans, and they didn't know I was behind them. And they were sitting there watching all the replays and this stuff. And they would, and I did get bailed up the night before by the Belgian fans going, yeah, but why the hell didn't Primoz pull for Wout? And I was like, mate, he was swinging on the back. And then he came to he'd go to the front, he would pull. He did everything he could. And then Walt was going so fast on the front of that group that no one could come around. Like he was just so strong that to get from 5th wheel up to the first wheel is impossible when someone's riding that hard. It's not like you can just go, oh yeah, I'll just go and pull him back. Everyone's up in arms about it.
It's real couch peloton shit, eh? When sometimes, you're watching races and you're speaking with guys who are just watching, who haven't raced in the sport, and they're like, oh, he's cocked up. What's happened there? He's been dropped. Like, what the hell? You're like, mate, he just can't follow. Like sport and cycling, it's physical. It's quite a physical activity. And when people get dropped, and I'm well versed in getting dropped, when I get dropped, it's because it's quite simple. I can't stay at that speed anymore. It's too fast for me.
You know what I like about when you get dropped sometimes is like the New Zealand media will go, like we were at a race. I remember this article you sent me. It must have been the Vuelta 2018, and it was a stage I did well in, and you rode Gruppetto. You pulled for the first 150K for Simon, and then you went in the Gruppetto, and you finished like 120th or something. And the article was, the main thing was about that I'd done well on the stage. And then at the end, they go, Sam Bewley finished in a disappointing 134th.
Yeah.
After you'd had like a ripper of a day, pulling all day. But yeah, it was disappointing that you were in 134th. You're like...
Mate, a lot of people can't... I mean, yeah, sometimes you do, like riders like me anyway, or even riders like you, George, if you're in a grand tour and you're working for someone, some days you do sit up. Like, the word sit up, it is relevant at times. Like you could stay there. You might have to go deep to stay there, but you don't because tomorrow you've got a job to do. Like we explained last week on the show a little bit, but like ultimately when you're racing in the final, when Alaphilippe attacked at the World Champs there, they didn't let him go. They just couldn't go with him. Physically, they couldn't go with him. Simple as that.
But I reckon it's a catch-22. Like, on one end, New Zealand fans and reporters, they don't understand the sport, so they'd say, like, yeah, disappointing, whatever you finished. But then the Belgies, this just live and breathe this shit. Number one sport in the country, and they will not get over that for ages. You know?
Oh, mate, there's these group of Belgians, and we were staying in a terrible hotel, and they were camping around there. And I was walking to the room. Obviously, I was gutted with how shit I was, and just just frustrated in general that the last 5 weeks I haven't been where I was 5 weeks before it, and I was just pissed off. I was hungry to go in the room, and they're like, "Oh, come over here, Bennett, come here," and you're like, "Oh, pretty punishing," but try not to be an asshole. Might end up on that website. And
we're going to get to that later, George.
Yeah. Remember, this is take two. Keep listening,
so
folks.
you just suffer it out. But they were sitting there, and they were just sitting there in the hallway, and there's chairs around the hallway with their hands like this, going, "But why did he not pull?" And you're just like, "What are you doing?" I don't know.
Yeah.
One,
it's
I was in
over.
the pits. I wasn't there. I don't ride for Slovenia. I don't ride for Belgium. I wasn't even I didn't even finish the race. No idea. Don't ask me. But they were just like someone had died. Someone had died.
Who wants to be around that? You've just finished the race. You don't want to be sitting around these drunk Belgians sitting around going, "Oh, who pulled?" Just tell. Sometimes, George, you just got to show some balls. And when they say, "Hey, do you want to stop for a beer?" You say, "Fuck off."
No, I didn't get that far. I suffered through, and then
Exactly.
Three Belgians. Oh man, that Bennett. Well, he's an asshole, eh?
He won't reply.
It's good.
You go and have a beer. You'll go and have a beer with them, but you won't reply to our WhatsApp messages.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Oh man.
Hey, Bills.
Right.
We're gonna mention our mates, unlike last week.
Yeah.
Miller.com. Now, what do you want people to do? Because we're going to announce a winner next week. $10,000 US.
What? No, what I think what you're going to say isn't what we want them to do. I think what we want them to do is to subscribe an email address, and then we pick a winner from that.
Yeah, but I sent that on your WhatsApp, and I was hoping you and Caitlin would set up that website address and get it so that we could start.
Yeah, but that can be up by the time we release this. That can be up.
You reckon?
Oh, I reckon we do that for the next ones, eh?
Next week. Next week we'll have a website address.
We've got to give this award away. Okay, so what George is referring to is that we put on social media a few days ago that we had a big afternoon of planning, and the Social Distance podcast team is working on some very exciting things. That is true. We're working on a new logo, some merchandise, a website where you can subscribe to for bonus
content. Is it exciting? I mean, it's I don't know.
It's something. Okay,
mate, we're going to give away plenty of free shit.
Yeah.
Put it that way.
But that's
so you'll be able to subscribe to this website, which will have giveaways. All sorts of bloody crap like that.
Anyway, we're going to go crazy.
We're going to go mental, but it's not ready yet. So we do have to give away this award. This award. We do have to give away this prize to the Miller Resorts Maldives. So what we need you to do now is to win this award. We will announce the winner on next week's show. So you're going to have to listen to this show and next week's show to know if you've won it. Subscribe, share, go onto our Social Distance Podcast Instagram, follow us. About 5, 6, 7, 8, 10 photos down, you'll find a very specific photo which looks like a beachside resort. You can't miss it. It's the Maldives. It's the Miller Resort over water cabin in the Maldives. You can't miss it. Go onto that post, tag 3 people who you would hate to spend. We want it to be funny. So tag 3 people who you would hate to take to the Maldives. And we're going to pick a random winner, funny comments. For example, I might tag Dan Jones, George Bennett, Caitlin Fielder, and say, I'd hate to be in the Maldives with Dan Jones because, he wouldn't share the beers, and George Bennett would, want to rub sunscreen on my back, and Caitlin would be painting shoes, or, just something funny, something out there, and we'll pick a random winner. We will announce it
something
next week.
funnier than that. Yeah.
It doesn't need to be funny. I think it just needs to. I don't mind an abusive bit of passive
Yeah, a
aggressive
bit of
comments.
abuse. Yeah,
Yeah.
just anything.
You know, I
just
just feel like something you want to get off your chest. If there's something, you know, I
anything
don't want
that
to go.
catches our eye.
I don't want to go with George Bennett because he eats Pringles on a podcast.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
Exactly, there you go.
not-
Just anything that catches our eye, but you must tag 3 people in it so that they can see the post. They can see we're giving you guys a $10,000 bloody holiday in the Maldives for 5 nights. We want to benefit from it ourselves. So you need to share our bloody crap.
Yeah. Well, Jason from Amilla is giving him that.
Yeah.
Oh, hang on. We've got a nibble. We've got a nibble.
Yep.
Who's this?
Yeah, hello.
Yeah, hello.
Hey.
You're in the
Knoxy.
Maldives, Knoxy.
How's it going? What?
You look
Yeah,
like you're in
yeah, so I've bailed on the Giro. I'm actually starting the, bit of a holiday. Look at this. Here we go.
Have a look at that.
Check it out.
Yeah, not bad.
Hey,
Living the high life there.
Have you met Jonesy before?
I don't think we've met.
no.
Have we?
No, we've not met.
All right, quick introduction. This is James Knox, quick step rider. He's in Sicily, about to embark on the Giro d'Italia. He also was at the Worlds with me. He was far better than me, and he looks in good nick to go. What do you know? Downhill time trial. Bit of you.
Oh, yeah. yeah. Fuck. Downhill time trial. That's going to be a laugh, isn't it? I think it's like a K up and then 5 or 6K downhill, down into Palermo, big left-hander, and then along the promenade to finish. So
It's not. Is it actually like a proper downhill, or is it just like
it's big time downhill, mate. It's like 6 or 8% all the way down.
No.
You go from like 300 meters at the top down to sea level, and then that's the race. So I'm regretting being 58 kilos right now.
What setup you're running?
Filippo Ganna will probably take enough time in that time trial to hold on to the yellow jersey, the yellow jersey, the pink jersey up Etna 4 days later.
Yeah, I reckon he will.
Oof. Last time you went into a Grande, Noxie, I remember you telling me that you went on a steak diet. I just need to get strong. And you were just getting up, or you going to, like 1 a.m, you just cook a steak. How's that working out?
It's very simple. Yeah, it's very simple. I mean, what makes you better? What makes you stronger? Steak. So I came up with I was feeling weak. I ate steak. So yeah, I was getting up, having a bit of steak for breakfast. Obviously with a bowl of cereal. Getting back from a ride, maybe have a bit of steak. And then I'd have a normal dinner, but a bit of steak before bed. I mean, my roommate was horrified. He was absolutely horrified. Just the apartment stuck of meat, but went well. So
so you went the opposite. You went the opposite of Thomas de Gent. So when Thomas de Gent ran 3rd in the Giro, he went off the sausages, and you ran 10th in the Vuelta or 11th in the Vuelta, and your first Grande, was it? Or more or less your first Grande. Let's call it your first Grande.
Yeah.
And you went, he went away from the sausages. And you went deep on the carne, on the red meat.
Well, the idea was I'd load, so I'd get the meat in before the race. Get the iron stalls up, get just the general goodness that's in a cow. And then so by the time I got to week 3, I was still going all right. I was still strong, still riding well.
Does it make you gassy if you eat too much meat? I know, if I'm chowing down on too much carnivore.
It's probably not. I mean, I think if you were analysing the day-by-day stools, it probably wouldn't be pretty. But other than that, it was all right.
Hey, who've you got in your squad? What's Shane Archibald doing? Where's he racing at the moment?
He's in Bink Bank, I think. Is that right? I think he's in Bink Bank.
Yeah, he's in Big Bank. Knobs in Big Bank. So you didn't. Remco obviously not on the start line. Are you going to go?
Are you seriously going to put one of those Pringles back in your mouth?
Yeah, show a bit of respect.
Nah.
Who have you got in your squad, Noxie?
We had big ambition for this Giro. We were going to come here with Remco and we're going to come here with Fabio. But obviously, nasty injuries have scuppered that for the team and for those boys. They're still on the recovery. But we've got Alvaro Hodge for the sprints. We've also got Ballerini, lead out man, but he's also good for the punchy sprints. And then Kaiser, Peter Seri. Who else have we got? Myself, Almeida, Masnada.
You having a crack at the GC, Noxie?
I think I'll just play it like the Vuelta, to be honest. Just have a double, stay in there for as long as I can. But if I start losing time, there's also the opportunity to get into nice breakaways, try and jump back up the classification. I'll go for stage wins. So
stage wins, yeah.
Yeah, not really too stressed.
Are they doing the COVID bubbles like the tour at the Giro this year?
Yep, I think so.
Yeah.
I'm probably a bit strict as the tour, but they're still doing it.
Knox is just in the beach club right now, spraying it around. Oh yeah. Bubble's tight.
Hey, good man, Noxie.
The best thing about the Giros was the Parmesan wheels. I reckon at the buffet at the finish of the stages, but I reckon those Parmesan wheels would be just about on the way out.
No buffets, COVID, mate.
No.
I had my first bad experience, culinary experience, when I was in Imola. I don't know if Imola's exempt from the like the general vibe of Italian food, but I just had a shocking hotel, and I had French style. I think maybe it was a French chef, but I was just getting soggy pasta. I was getting, I don't know. We were in San Pietro. Where were you, Noxie? Where was GB? You guys were probably in somewhere ritzy.
Oh, we were actually in a really nice hotel. Yeah, we were.
Yeah, you were. Yeah, okay.
Near Bologna, and then we stayed there. I stayed there anyway a couple of days after the race to come here. So yeah, it was all right.
Doesn't Parmesan cheese come from Emilia Romagna?
I think it's a South thing, mate. I think it's I think like no, you're right. There's a different one, isn't it? Pecorino or something. That's the southern version, and then there's the standard
balsamic vinegar.
Yeah, that's definitely like Modena and all that. Emilia Romagna.
So you just had a shit hotel, GB, because that's a great region for food.
All right. I just thought it was just
Hey, Noxie, actually on the balsamic vinegar, have you ever OD'd on balsamic vinegar where you get like the cheek burn? We spoke about this last week on the episode and everyone looked at me like I had 3 fucking heads.
No, I've not had that, mate.
With your foreheads there.
Oh shit.
Have a skull of that and see how you go.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I mean, I don't think you're supposed to drink. Yeah, okay, boys, enjoy. Thank you.
Good luck, mate. Thanks for coming on.
Noxie.
Yeah. Okay, thank you. Bye.
Cheers, mate.
He's a good
Noxie. What a
good
legend.
on you, Noxie. Should we step into our year then? What do you reckon?
Yep. What year are we doing?
We're going to go back to a year that is way better than 2020. 2020 has been an absolute bag of shit. We're talking mid 80s. 1985. Now, Bowling for Soup, or what's the band name
Columbine.
they wrote a song about? Bowling for Columbine.
Mondays. I don't like Mondays.
Boomtown Rats.
Yeah. Do you know what comes to mind when the thing that, as soon as you said 85, the only thing that really stands out for me was the Rainbow Warrior?
Yeah, so explain us what that was the Greenpeace boat that.
Yeah. So what it was,
New Zealand.
it was the first. Was it the first? Maybe anyway, international terror. Basically, what happened was the French. They were nuclear testing on the Motorola Atoll, and New Zealand,
which is in the French Polynesia.
Yeah, and Rainbow Warrior was a Greenpeace protest ship, and they were just being absolute pests to the French, and they were doing a great job. They were basically just going out to the atoll, and then they couldn't drop nukes. And so the French government just how do they do it? I think they actually sent a couple of agents, but they were, was it not that they came in under tourism? They were like 2 French tourists.
They were like undercover French intelligence agents, 2 of them. Yeah, and they just sort of snuck in, and then the French didn't claim; they denied it. What happened is they bombed it. They sunk the ship, killed 2 people, I think. One
guy, photographer.
Yeah, it was a Portuguese photographer.
Yeah, sunk the ship in the Auckland Harbour.
And the French had to pay $8 million in compo.
The French denied it. That it was their agency, and eventually they said, "Oh yeah, fuck, all right." So those 2, I think they must have got deported, but they got done for a number of crimes, obviously, as you would expect when you bomb a boat and someone dies.
It's sort of hard to cover up that.
But so they got done for a couple of things. So that happened in 1985. That's a pretty big moment. It wasn't a New Zealand ship though, was it? It was just docked in New Zealand at this point.
Yeah, docked in New Zealand. Yeah.
Yeah. But every Kiwi remembers that.
I got a couple of good notes. There was a new Coke recipe. I think you told me about that, Bills.
Yeah, the new
And
Coke
then-
recipe. Yeah.
And it went to shit and had to go back to the old one.
Coca-Cola, we're talking about.
Coca-Cola.
Yeah.
And then Pepsi, I think, got a bit of a run on because the new recipe tasted like shit, so they had to go back to the old one. And then you've got Jordan, won Rookie of the Year. Back to the Future, George, one of your favourite films. Have you seen it yet?
Have you seen it?
Have you not seen Back to the Future?
Still.
But I was
It was-
watching.
It was the
I feel
number
like-
one movie of 1985.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely
do you know
killed
what-
it.
Do you know what? This is relevant for later in the show, but do you know what? I couldn't believe this. You must feel the same way as I felt this morning when I learned that Caitlin had never seen Wayne's World.
What?
Oh, party time.
Excellent. Woo, woo, woo. You've also got Bill's, one of the biggest moments of 1985 by a mile. Would have to be greatest moment was when they released "We Are the World."
Oh, that was the old off.
Well, that started it.
I was going to say that when Gorbachev became the leader of the Soviet Union, ended the Cold War.
Yeah, well, that's right. That was a big moment. But they
But We Are
released
the World, Jackson, Michael Jackson. I'm thinking of Live Aid. But We Are the World was Jackson.
That started it.
That started. MJ and Lionel Richie, and it sold 20 million copies. It's the 8th highest selling single of all time. And fucking Dan Aykroyd sang on it. When I was looking at the research, I was like, they've got all these hitters. You got bloody MJ, Lionel Richie, Kenny Rogers, and there's Dan Aykroyd in the background. Ghostbusters.
Is he that? Is he,
Instead of Ghostbusters,
yeah, the actor. Oh, jeez.
Yeah. But then that obviously led to Live Aid. So, Bills, obviously a bit about Live Aid. I've got a few notes here. One of the things I learned.
Why do you keep planting this stuff on me? Why do I know?
Well, because
you were alive then, mate.
But you rang me the other day in a right royal state. You went on a Live Aid rant about how good the show was, and obviously you're a big Queen fan. But a couple of little zingers about Live Aid: 1.9 billion viewers in 150 countries. They used 13 satellites. They raised 125 mil, and there were 65 acts. But there's a couple of, I love a good conspiracy theory. There's one scene, so U2, all the bands are trying to outdo each other, right? So everyone now just talks about Queen. But U2 did a performance and Bono's playing, right? And he sees a woman in the crowd like getting crushed. And he jumps off the stage and he goes through the security and pulls her out and he saves her and they do this hug and all this sort of stuff. And when I was Googling it, they were saying like, Bono saved a woman's life. But then the conspiracy theory is it was all bullshit. Like it was all like a setup, like just to get attention.
I could see that from Bono. I mean, he's the kind of guy that just puts his whole album on your iTunes without asking for it.
Yeah.
So I feel like it's not, it's not out of the realms of possibility.
And then
I always wonder that with any of those concerts, when like Michael Bublé gets like some singer up from the crowd, like I come up and he starts singing and he's got this unbelievable voice. Like, come on, that wasn't set up.
Yeah. Nah.
So the song, Do They Know It's Christmas Time? When everyone comes together, Live Aid comes together and they sing this. Have you guys ever seen the video and seen how unenthusiastic Bob Dylan is? I mean, Bob Dylan is the biggest recluse ever, but he's just going there, sitting there, zooming on at one stage, and he's just thinking, "Fucking shoot me," He got given the Nobel, not the Nobel Peace Prize. What did he get given? What award did he get? For literature, something about literature. Oh yeah, he's a poet. He's not. I mean, I love Bob Dylan. I went and saw him live once. Actually, he came to New Zealand, so we went down to Christchurch to see Bob Dylan.
I think Julian Dean went at the same concert.
Right. Well, he runs a bit of a Julian Dean vibe. He walks out, right? So he's sitting there. We're just in this stadium, and he walks out. He doesn't even look at the crowd. He's just staring at the ground. Walks over to his piano, mumbles some incomprehensible songs from some blues album. He's not playing anything that anybody knows. It's probably something from, I don't know. No, the only song I recognise, I think, was like
something Dan Aykroyd wrote.
Yeah, exactly. And then at one point, halfway through the song, he just has enough. He just gets up and leaves. no
What?
encore, nothing. He just buggers off, and then we were just like, but it was almost art. That was the art of it. It was like Bob Dylan just hating it.
He won the Nobel Prize for Literature, and in 2016, and he flicked it. He's like, I don't want that fucking thing. I just want a cone and write some songs.
Yeah.
Did you hear about Phil Collins at Live Aid? He played at Wembley, then flew to Philadelphia to play 4 hours later.
There was a few that did that. I think Elton John, maybe. A few got on their planes.
Really? I thought Phil Collins was the only one.
Did you ever hear the story of the Phil Collins song, In the Air Tonight? Did you ever hear the rumor of
yeah.
You know how there's the urban myths that go around schools when you're young?
Yeah.
And
yeah.
The song that was going, the myth that was going around my college was...
no, it was worldwide.
He wrote that... Oh, was this worldwide? Okay. So that he wrote the song In the Air Tonight because his friend was drowning, right? And there was a guy there that in this sea or in the river or something that could have saved him and didn't. And so what Phil Collins did... I think this is absolute bullshit, but he apparently sent this guy a couple of tickets to his house and said, mate, I'm playing here. Here's a couple of free tickets. So he comes into the concert. He figures out what road he's on. And then he starts to play the song. They turn all the lights out. Spotlight just goes on this guy. And played the whole song with the spotlight on this guy saying,
like, I was there, I saw what you did, I saw it with my own 2 eyes.
It's really specific, okay. And then the guy went home and topped himself.
Yeah, so that was the story for a long, long time worldwide, and Phil Collins stayed real quiet on it when he was questioned.
Oh, you'd feel pretty average.
And then he came out not long ago, like in the last 10 years, and said, no, I actually wrote that song because my missus left me. So it was about divorce. She cheated on me or something like that.
It's pretty specific to somebody drowning in a lake, though. I mean, I think there's even the line, "You saw he was drowning," or something like that. There was definitely a line about.
Yeah, he's talking about his missus. She didn't pay attention.
No, I don't know.
So my notes on Phil, right? He had to, and I've done research. I don't think Elton John did any of this shit. Phil took a helicopter from Wembley straight to Heathrow. Then when he got on the Concorde, there's like this big record radio producer who controls all the airways in the States. So Phil Collins is like, oh, shit, this is awesome. I'm going to get all my songs played on the airways. Then when he landed in the States, they said, oh, look, you're going to be playing with some members of Led Zeppelin. It's like, oh, okay, we'll just have a bit of a bash around. Then it got built up as this reunion show for Led Zeppelin. He's like, oh, fuck, that's a bit of pressure. And he's slapping away on the drums. And then they reckon that the Led Zeppelin sucked and got shit canned. And he says here, when he landed in Philly, he thought things would be low-key. Robert Plant was happy to see Phil, but Jimmy Page wasn't. And Page blamed Phil for fucking up the show. And then Collins minces no words in this Q interview saying it was a disaster, really. Robert wasn't match fit. His voice and Jimmy was out of it, and he was dribbling. He goes, it wasn't my fault. It was crap. If I could have walked off, I would have. But everyone would be talking about Phil Collins walking off Light Aid, so I just stuck it out. So it must have been shit house.
And you think this was when Stairway to Heaven was like, well, it still is the best song ever written. But like this Stairway to Heaven had come out like in I think it was like the late 70s or something, no, early 80s.
No, before that.
Before that.
So what happened was
mid 90s or something. Didn't they release Led Zeppelin? Didn't they release Stairway to Heaven at Live Aid? Wasn't that the first time it was ever sung? I don't know. Anyway,
no.
But so it was a massive belter, this song. And it was shit. You go like and watch. I've watched. So every New Year's Eve, me and my mate, we we go to like a concert or something, and go to the pub, and then we come back to his beach house and we open a bottle of gin and we watch the full Live Aid concert on DVD. So good. Oh, yeah. And there's my favourite is Elton and George Michael when they did Don't Let the Sun Go Down on Me. Fuck, they did that well.
Yeah.
And then that's changed New Year's Eve tradition. That's that's an annual I mean, most people were, I mean, how long has this been going for? Like, even when you were.
I reckon for Buell,
1980, started 1986.
2 years. That's the tradition. Every year.
1st of January
Every
1986 started. No, but then you watch Led Zeppelin and you think, oh yeah, here's Stairway to Heaven. It's going to be it's shit house. Greatest song ever written, and they sing it so shit.
It must piss them off because it's like we had such an opportunity there. If we only put the time in, they reckon they only rehearse for like an hour or whatever. But looking back, they're like, man, if we had nailed that, or we had done a Bono stunt, plucked someone out of the crowd, or just had a crack.
But do you know what's hard about Live Aid? Do you know what's real hard about Live Aid is that you had these songs like Stairway to Heaven, Bohemian Rhapsody that are running like 8 minutes. You know these songs. They only had a 22-minute set. Every band only had an allocation of 22 minutes. That's why Queen didn't sing all of Bohemian Rhapsody. So they're trying to like bang these songs out, like oh, everyone wants to hear Stairway to Heaven. Fuck's taking up 2/3 of our set. We can't sing anything else if we do all of that, you know. So they're rushing it through, so they can sing something else, you know. And
they got Phil Collins fucking up the drums. You know?
Yeah.
Mate, imagine you see the photos of Wembley like that. Imagine COVID then. Like there was 140,000 people or something in Wembley. Like if you see the footage of it, they're in there like sardines. Like there's no one's going, oh, excuse me, just got to get out to the Portaloos, you know, like 12-hour concert. Wherever you are, that's where you're stuck.
That's it. That's it.
Last ep we talked about 69, we talked about Woodstock. If you could go to one of the two, where would you go?
Live Aid.
Really?
Yeah.
Mate, Woodstock, we told you last week, they dropped pickle sandwiches from the sky, mate.
Yeah, it just sounds like there was a bit more sort of community spirit at Woodstock. I mean, I just feel like you survived Woodstock. I mean, you go to Live Aid and you survive Woodstock.
Yeah, but imagine when the cops came out on stage there at Wembley and they were like, we've had a noise complaint from Susan in Belgium. We are going to have to ask you to turn the music down. And then they go, rah, rah, actually, turn it up. Her Majesty, the Queen. And then Freddie comes out like with his pole and he's got AIDS and he's fucking ripping into it, you know?
Yeah. All stuff getting better than that.
No, I would have gone Woodstock.
Yeah, but
you're a hippie.
I'm not surprised. Yeah, you are a hippie.
Yeah.
You're a hippie at heart.
That's because
Well, speaking of other random shit from 1985, the Night Stalker got captured. Do you know much about the Night Stalker, Richard Ramirez?
No.
Yeah, he's a real dodgy bastard. Like he was going around LA from 84 to 85.
Was that Manson, Charles Manson?
Oh, it's the serial killer we're talking about.
The serial killer. This is not Live Aid now. This is like some random crook shit. So he got caught. He killed 14 people, and then he was convicted of all charges: 13 counts of murder, 5 attempted murders, all this sort of shit. But you know, we always talk about going down rabbit holes. So it talked about relationships on Wikipedia, like romantic relationship, and it says see also hybristophilia, and I'm like, hybristophilia, what is that? I click that, and it says is a paraphilia in which sexual arousal, facilitation, and attainment of orgasm are responsive to and contingent upon being with a partner known to have committed an outrage, cheating, lying, known infidelities, or crime such as rape and murder. So it doesn't matter how crook these people are, they get, you know, they always get these cult followings in jail, like people sending them letters and all this sort of shit. Like he was married, like after that, like he got inundated with love letters, got married in the prison, and then like that didn't work out. Surprise, surprise. Like I think But
didn't David Bain end up with a wife through jail as well? I mean, that was probably less of a serial killer vibe and more of a. But I mean, I think he I think.
Who's David
Bain?
Bain?
Like a bad boy.
Oh, he was a. It's a story for another time, I suppose.
It's another story, David Bain.
Kiwis, New Zealanders know who he is.
Yeah, right.
We've done well in 1985, haven't we?
Yeah, we did. Yeah.
Gorbachev, though, he became Soviet leader, end of the Cold War.
Nintendo debuted. Duck Hunt. I mean, everyone had Duck Hunt.
Duck Hunter.
Yeah, that was awesome. And then Rocky IV. I just randomly, did you know they're doing another Borat? Borat 2
Yeah, I
is
did
coming
see
out.
that.
Yeah, next month. Yeah, that's going to be awesome.
What? Any notable birth from 85? When was Wout van Aert born? He wasn't.
1995, I think. Decade later.
Really?
Yeah, he's 26.
Oh my god, that's scary, eh?
Yeah, it's nuts.
How's this? So I've got a teammate, young Stin. He's born in 2000 or 2001.
I got a couple of teammates that were born in 2000.
That's disgusting.
Yeah.
That's bullshit. 2000.
At some point in your career, at least in my career, I'll be riding with people that were born when I turned pro. Does that make sense?
No, you won't.
Yes, because
you could.
Exactly.
You'd have to be fucking motivated.
I went pro when I was 20. 21. Make it to it'll happen. If I make it to 38, there'll be a couple of 18-year-olds. Jeez.
When do you reckon you're going to ride to?
I'll be gone.
Do you set a mental cap at some point?
I reckon I'm halfway. I reckon I'll make it to 38, 39.
Yeah?
It depends. If I keep running these outrageous schedules, I'm doing a whole season of racing in about 3 months.
Yeah.
So this isn't real sustainable. But on a normal year, it's not too bad.
You got to get injured every 2 years or every 12 months, like me. You get a little breather.
Yeah.
Longevity in your career.
That's right.
You leave your career on a Zimmer frame, walking around like a guy with fucking strip. What is it? When the people get those things in their hands from riding too much? What's it called?
Yeah, the claw hand.
Yeah, like you leave your career like that, but you get a few extra years out of it.
Speaking of going downhill, I think our Legion Rebellion today, he took a pretty big dive, didn't he?
Yeah.
Sort on you again.
Mike Myers. I reckon.
Mike Myers.
There's a website called meanstars.com, and basically people can put in like little experiences with all celebrities, and they vote if they were mean, if they were nice, or if they're okay. And Mike Myers comes up 67% mean and 33% okay. And it all comes out. Couple of stories. So one,
is that block voting or is it one?
It's block voting. So this was voted by Italy, France, and Spain. And so I love this story, like the mean story on Mike Myers. Right? It says, "I had a friend from out of state swinging through town. We met in New York City for lunch and a couple of drinks. We were eating at this bar, and I see further down that Mike Myers is at the other end of the bar watching a soccer game on TV and drinking a beer. I'd never encountered a celebrity before and didn't want to be some obtrusive arsehole. But prior to paying our tab, I walked over and said, 'Hey, Mike, I'm a big fan. Can I buy you a beer?' And without even turning to look at me, he says, 'I can afford my own drinks, arsehole. Save your money for save my money for my next movie.' I stood there speechless for a second and embarrassedly turned back to my spot at the bar. We paid our tab and split without saying a word. I really felt like a dickhead."
That's not bad from old Mike, though. It's a good response.
Yeah. And then one more. He got voted like okay. My then 9-year-old son found Myers shopping at some Foodland back in 2001, and the 9-year-old said to him, "What are you doing here?" And by the time I turned corner into the aisle, he smiled and said, "I'm visiting. What are you doing here?" Mike's then wife stuck to the shopping, stone face. And that's it. So he got voted okay. People just go, "Yeah, I saw him." He said, "What are you doing?" He goes, "Oh, I'm visiting." Like, that's it. Okay. What the fuck was the point of it? What was the point? It's called meanstars.com. Get all your ranking on all your stars.
You seen any Sam Bewley encounters on there?
Oh, geez. I reckon if it was people floating around Girona, there'd be some crackers.
But he was notoriously hard to work with by the sound of things, eh? I saw when he was filming Wayne's World, he lost his shit one day because he flipped the lunch table over. So as you can imagine on set, it's probably a pretty big lunch table. Dealing with superstars I'm sure, is a smorgasbord of options. You know, your Atlantic salmons, you know, your venison tarts. I don't know. You got everything, but there was no margarine. There was only butter. So he upended the whole table. Whoof, just flipped it all up. And then went and didn't come out of his trailer for like 4 or 5 hours. Yeah. And then after that, and that's just one example of how he was on the show. Yeah,
because the director of the film lifted the lid on that. She dobbed him in. So I reckon it happened.
She declined Wayne's World too. She said, no fucking way I'm working with that guy. No way.
He also just shut it down because she was saying, oh, we want to put... instead of the famous scene where they're doing Bohemian Rhapsody, that becomes like the sort of everlasting scene of that movie. The director wanted a different song. I think she wanted like Zeppelin or something, and Myers just said, "Oh, we won't make that."
They heard it from Live Aid.
Yeah, he just said, "Oh, fuck it, we won't do it then." Shut it down, walked off, and then eventually they had to put his song in, and he was right. I mean, it's a good movie. You know what? Every time I see now from that movie, every time I walk past a guitar shop and I see a Stratocaster guitar in the window, I just get the Dreamweaver song played in my head.
Or you go, oh yes, it will be mine. Oh yes. The one story I hated to hear, right, was Dana Carvey, the guy who plays Garth. He come up with the voice for Dr. Evil, and it was a piss take of the boss of Saturday Night Live. And it really messed him up for 20 years because it becomes such an iconic character, and Mike Myers ripped this off him. I've got a snippet. This is what Dana said on the Howard Stern show, I think 4 or 5 years ago.
I have a lot of affection for him. I mean, but was there a rift over the Dr. Evil character? We never really talked about it. I talked about it to the therapist, and I basically let it go.
No, you needed therapy. He hasn't. He knows Mike Myers is so big, and he's just going to rip him a new one like those poor pricks at the New York City bar. Just keep the peace. But that creatively, that's shit.
That is shit ass. Yeah, like that would never happen on this show. Everyone, this is
we'd never rip off other shows.
Well, we've got nothing to. We've got nothing to rip off each other either.
But he's renowned. He's a world famous actor. Austin Powers, iconic roles, Wayne's World, all these things. But he's actually won awards for. He won. Was it called a Razzie? I think.
Yeah, the Raspberry.
Raspberry. Yeah. So he's won.
Razzie,
He's won one for worst actor, worst screenplay, and worst movie title, all for his movie called The Love Guru.
Yeah, it's one of the worst films of all time. Yeah. Absolute shocker.
And he loves role play. He competed at the 2006 World Dungeons and Dragons Championships. It's like that movie Role Models, Yeah.
When
they're on Role Models. Yeah. Mike Myers was there.
Full-blown nerd. But, you've got to give him credit, I suppose. Wayne's World is pretty iconic. And,
it's great. And Austin Powers.
And Shrek. He's done a lot of good stuff. So
he got paid $3 million for the Shrek 1 and $10 million for Shrek 2.
Did he?
Yeah. That's some serious cash, though.
And the thing is I actually, as much as he got rated being a mean prick on Mean Stars, I actually respect, he just didn't back down.
He's not just an arsehole. If someone insulted me like that, it's hard to be that insulted, isn't it?
Yeah.
And also it's hard to understand. I've said on this show a while ago that when I was watching Breaking Bad, I also read the book of Bryan Cranston, the main actor, Walter White. And he talks about how he wraps his head around being famous, going from being not knowing, to being not able to walk down the street and without people harassing him or asking, not even harassing, just asking, say hi or an autograph or a photo or I'm a big fan, all that stuff. It's got to wear you down. So it's really hard from our side of the fence to be able to say, just give the 9-year-old in the shopping in the supermarket a little bit more than I'm just visiting. But they're probably just like, fuck's sakes. Hey.
The only time I've ever seen that, in the flesh and had to sort of experience it was when we were at the Vuelta, remember, with Esteban, or the Giro when he ran second. Remember trying to get him from the stage like to the bus and all that, and just the Colombian fans that would just grab him and get the selfies and all that. And then after a while, you're just like, oh, this is just shit. Like
the Madrid was worse. I remember Madrid when he got third. Remember Damo did that massive pull on the break, and then he I think he chopped Conador or something for third.
Yeah.
And I remember the fans in Madrid, it was out of control. How weird was that? Like thinking back, I cringe when I think back to the fact that you could have a crowd of people around. Like, you know, like that you could walk through this crowd and they would be like, of course we got sick every Grand Tour we did.
Oh, before we go, Caitlin,
yeah,
fieldoffineart.com. Make sure
Didn't we already do this?
Yeah, but
every week we're gonna give her.
She's a fourth member of the team, so we are working on some pretty cool things behind the scenes, guys. Merchandise, new logos, a website, a number of different options for you guys to have. And Caitlin is playing a big part in that. So she is the fourth member, the silent member of this team. So she deserves a shout out.
That's right.
And she's the only one in the bloody Bennett Fielder household that replies to any WhatsApp messages. So she's more welcome to say.
She's blue tick Bennett reply. It's awesome. And I reckon next week we can almost guarantee that we'll have Wout van Aert on to make his debut on the Social Distance podcast.
Isn't next week Roubaix week?
No, it's 25th of October.
The Giro starts, doesn't it?
Next week's Amstel. There's nothing. There's nothing.
Amstel's been cancelled.
Yeah, exactly. There's nothing on.
Right. How weird was this? That a few days ago there was snow at in Andorra, right? So they're closing the roads, whatever. And we decided to head to the beach for like a couple of nights, and then I was swimming in the sea, and it just everything was weird. I was like, "There's snow in the mountains. I'm swimming in the sea. It's October, and there's 2 Grand Tours to go, and a stage of Big Bang. There's a rest day in the Big Bang Tour, and you know, it's just for like 1 minute, I just went, man, this is just the weirdest."
Well, I'm up in Andorra now. And it's bloody beautiful looking out the window here. And funny story about Andorra. So last time we did an episode when we were in Andorra, I was in George's apartment recording the episode. There's been some changes in living situations up here. George has got a new place just below us. I've moved out of my apartment and I've moved into George's old apartment, which is where I recorded the episode. So that's this afternoon's job, is to move my stuff from my current apartment that I'm giving up and moving it into my new apartment, which is George's old apartment. And I'm currently recording this episode in Lucas Hamilton's apartment.
Well, I didn't follow any of that. Where are you? I
got 2 apartments. I currently have 2 apartments in the same building in Andorra, and I'm recording this episode in someone else's.
Okay. Before we go, what's the go for the last 6 weeks? No one's been talking about this vaccine for coronavirus. Is it not going to happen? Like, when are we getting the vaccine?
Yeah, I was reading about this the other day, and there's been a few setbacks. There's another case of neuralgia. But what I really need a vaccine for is...
What's neuralgia?
What the hell is neuralgia?
Hey, Doc! Don't skip over neuralgia. That sounded serious.
What does that mean?
What does it mean?
I've heard nostalgia.
Yeah, what's neuralgia?
Is that like in future nostalgia?
What is it?
He's Googling it. He doesn't even know.
It's a rat. What's this rash, Doc?
Just a neurological disease, mate.
We caught you out trying to sound smarter than what you are. You've just thrown a made up word.
Yeah, but I knew it started with N, and I don't even. I think neuralgia is only part of the issue, like something neuralgia. I don't know, mate. It's gone tits up.
So there's neuro problems, neuro issues,
neurological issues,
neurological issues.
Okay.
But I need a vaccine because I don't want to do 2 weeks for many reasons. But obviously the pressing one for me is the quarantine. I'm trying to get my head around that. If we want to come home and see our families, 2 weeks in a hotel.
And then 2 weeks when you get back, isn't it? Is it 4 weeks all up?
And the fact that there's like heaps of people dying and stuff as well, I suppose.
Yeah.
that might be more relevant. All right.
No worries.
All right, terrible wet, boys. I loved it.
Yep.
Yeah, that was a shocker.
Yeah. All right. We'll start recording now.
Yep. Do you ever get to the point? Do you ever get to the point where you just go, "Fuck it, we should actually just start again, see if we can do it better"?
There's probably 30 minutes of crap we could edit out of that and carry on and make a better episode.
All right. We'll edit 30 bits out, and we could edit a lot out of that. And
what you should do is just do a random edit, Jones. So just click on 10 minutes and then go to 30 minutes and don't listen to it and just go delete and see what it was, and then just keep the episode in as it was and see how one thing leads to another.
Well, there was a bit of just waffle. Like that's the first time we've just waffled on for a while.
Yeah. Can I stop recording, or what are we doing?
Oh yeah, stop recording.